What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. In this video, we are going to be showing you the artifact mod Suppressive Darkness and breaking down what it does and how it works. But we are also going to talk about Weaken and its interaction with Divinity, because when I was doing testing for this video, I found some concerning data with the way they interact. But first, let's look at Suppressive Darkness. If you're a longtime Destiny fan, then you will know of the artifact mod Oppressive Darkness, which was on the first ever artifact way back in Season of the Undying with the launch of Shadowkeep. It cost 6 energy and allowed your void grenades to debuff enemies by 30%. This was effectively like having a tether just from your void grenades. It was extremely strong and to this day remains one of, if not my favorite artifact mod ever. It made Controverse Hold Warlocks in particular extremely powerful, as you could pretty much chain your grenades. However, in a recent podcast, Bungie developers stated that they didn't want to add artifact mods to the game that were nearly busted. Looking at you, Breach and Clear and Particle Deconstruction. So with the introduction of Void 3.0, they have added new verbs such as Volatile and Weaken. Weaken is our new debuff verb, and this new Weaken ability applies a 15% debuff to enemies. Things like Tether, Tractor Cannon, and Divinity still apply a 30% debuff, but these require an exotic slot or a super rather than just something like a grenade launcher or a void grenade. So when I saw Suppressive Darkness on the artifact, I didn't want to get my hopes up. I assumed it would only be a 15% debuff, and spoiler alert, it is. Suppressive Darkness is in the far right column and can be unlocked on your 15th artifact upgrade. This happens around level 36 in the season pass, I believe. The perk states whenever you suppress a combatant, you also weaken them, causing them to take additional damage for a short time. So this is a 15% debuff that lasts for 6 seconds. Certainly not bad at all. But when you look at the fragments, one in particular stands out, and that is Echo of Undermining. Your void grenades weaken targets. This does exactly what Suppressive Darkness does. But instead of it costing you a fragment slot and minus 20 to your discipline stat, it can be applied to your class item for 7 energy. Suppressor grenades are tied with a few other grenades for the longest cooldown, so you could maybe run Void Wall grenades to get the same effect with Echo of Undermining, and they would have a similar cooldown. Especially because you could throw double bomber on your class item, where with Suppressive Darkness, you can only run one bomber mod tops. The beauty of Void 3.0 is it really allows you to spec heavily into a certain type of build if you want. In the next few days, I will show the Titan build I was using to get crazy fast void ability cooldowns, so the choice is up to you. It really comes down to your armor and stats, and if you can afford minus 20 to your discipline. It also comes down to your preferences. I may run Suppressive Darkness on my Titan, but on Warlock I definitely prefer Vortex grenades with Controverse Hold, especially now that Vortex grenades can give the big suck. Suppressor grenades do have good utility for sure, but I like my grenades for ad clear more than single target suppression. So the choice is up to you. So I explained how this mod works, but let me show you real quick to alleviate any questions you may have. In the background gameplay, I am showing the fragment Echo of Undermining and how it gives a 15% debuff to the Lost Sector boss. In the next clip, I am using just Suppressive Darkness, and as you can see, it gives the same 15% debuff for 6 seconds. So as I said before, it is basically giving you Echo of Undermining as a mod and not giving the discipline stat penalty. But now we will get into some interesting data that I found while testing. Bungie has also said in the past that they don't want buffs or debuffs to stack. So I tested Suppressive Darkness with Echo of Undermining. Even though I knew they do the same thing, I wanted to see if maybe they stacked. And they do not. Which I pretty much assumed, but I had to test it out. I also tested with Tractor Cannon, and the 30% debuff from Tractor overrides the 15% debuff from Suppressive Darkness. So I figured that was it for the testing. But then I remembered that last season you could stack Particle Deconstruction with Divinity, so I decided to give this a try. Huge shout out to my clanmate Billiam Wennett for taking some time out of his day to run Divinity for me. We found that not only do these debuffs not stack, but Suppressive Darkness or Echo of Undermining actually override the Divinity debuff. This is counter to every other debuff. We tested Hammer Strike, Tractor Cannon, and Tether, and in all those cases, the higher 30% debuff overrides the weakened debuff from Suppressive Darkness. But with Divinity, the 15% debuff takes precedent to Div's 30%. This next clip just shows regular Divinity damage, and you can see it is more than when we have Weaken plus Divinity, because Weaken is overriding Divinity. You can see I hit the boss with a Suppressor Grenade without Echo of Undermining or Suppressive Darkness, and I am hitting for 1588, when base damage is 1221, so this is a 30% buff. But when we apply Suppressive Darkness and then Divinity, we only hit for 1405. The same numbers we hit without any Divinity at all and just a weakened status. So whatever you do, do not use weakened debuffs with Divinity. Here are some clips of us testing with Tractor Cannon, Tether, and Hammer Strike, and you can see we always hit for 1588, so the higher debuff is taking precedence. If you didn't already know, Hammer Strike's debuff is still 30% instead of 15, and it lasts for 10 seconds instead of 6. So that could be useful information for the upcoming raid. So I know we got off on a tangent there, and maybe this could have been 2 separate videos, but as I was doing testing, we just dove deeper down the rabbit hole. So let's get back to Suppressive Darkness. If we look at Titan Shield Bash, it states that the target is taken out of any active abilities and cannot activate any abilities or movement modes while suppression persists. So this does work with Suppressive Darkness. So it stands to reason that any mod or future fragment that can suppress will be granted the debuff from Suppressive Darkness. Lastly, I also tested this in Crucible, and to my surprise, it does not work. You can see I hit my friend Pat with a grenade with Suppressive Darkness equipped, and it does not debuff him. Strangely though, I tested this with Echo of Undermining, and it does grant a debuff. You can see I hit 1 more damage to the head and to the body, and the body shot is yellow instead of white. So, to summarize, Suppressive Darkness is not nearly as good as Oppressive Darkness was, and you don't have any flexibility in which grenades you get to run. If you like suppression grenades, then by all means you will get good use out of this mod. I even thought it would be cool to pair with a Suppressive Glaive, but alas, that costs 4 energy and this costs 7, so you cannot equip both at once. This was probably intentional on Bungie's part, but I was quite disappointed. Overall, this perk is a bit of a bummer given how awesome Oppressive Darkness used to be. I understand why Bungie is reining in mods, as we have had some pretty broken ones over the past couple seasons, and I'm sure they're worried about power creep. I'm not sure if you tried the Harpy boss in Garden of Salvation, but it wasn't even a challenge with Divinity and Particle Deconstruction. So overall, I think these changes were probably needed for the health of the game, but don't expect this mod to be this season's Particle Deconstruction. Busted mods like that appear to be a thing of the past. Anyways, that is going to do it for the video. I learned a ton doing this testing, and I hope that you did too. If you did, then a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this mod and the artifact mods in general for this season. I, for one, am very excited to see Rocket Scavenger and some Elemental Well mods available for 1 energy apiece. Anyways, if you made it this far, then thank you so much for watching, and take care.